Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Dutch Sci-Fi and Fantasy channel. Yes, we are back with a new live stream today. And I'm happy and I'm looking forward to discuss this new topic. Welcome to you all. We have every Monday we have a regular live stream at this time. 7:30 p.m. UK time. I'm looking forward to meet you. If you want to join in panels or you have an idea about to discuss other franchises, I'm open for it. Most of the time, Monday is time we discuss Doctor Who, but we can also do live streams during the week, on other days. So you are welcome to join. Also, I have Discord server for this channel. So we can not only meet each other here on this channel, but also on Discord. You can find me on the same name, but and instead of a channel, it is Dutch Sci-Fi Fantasy and Community Tech Doctor Who, and you can find me there. It's a new Discord server, so join me there, so we can meet also there. And today we will discuss the companions of the Fourth Doctor. We started this series a few weeks ago, and last week we talked about the companions of the Third Doctor, and now we go further with the Fourth Doctor, and that we will do with the one and only Sadeko.
Hello, happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween. Have you got a costume on?
Not today, no.
No, I don't.
I'm just going to have a quiet Halloween, watch a few horror films.
Okay. What is your favorite horror film?
My favorite is The Omen.
Oh,
It's a 1976 film in which it turns out that it's this rich family and they've got this adopted kid. And it turns out that the kid is actually the Antichrist. He was actually birthed by the devil. It's basically Satan's offspring. And Patrick Troughton's in it actually. He plays this priest who has to try and warn the family. Look, your child is the son of the devil. He's going to bring apocalypse to this world. And it's a brilliant film. Classic.
Yeah, 1967. You said 1967.
1976.
76. Okay, yeah, that was the decade with that genre was really evolved.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right. So we have now the special behind. We can now focus on the future of Doctor Who, and we can enjoy these streams about the classic Who now at this moment with the Fourth Doctor, and that is your favorite Doctor.
Favorite Doctor.
Yes, your favorite Doctor. Why is it your favorite Doctor?
He was the perfect amalgam of the wisdom of the Doctor.
Okay.
And I just feel like that was the peak of the show, and it never got that good again for me. Never got that consistently good again, I feel.
Was it also your first Doctor you saw on screen, or?
Well, the first Doctor I saw on screen was John Pertwee. They were repeating The Demons when I was growing up. Yeah. So I saw a bit of that, but then they repeated Genesis of the Daleks a few weeks later. Mm-hmm. And that's where I would say I really became a fan, because like the cliffhangers in that's when I kind of realized I'm hooked by this show. I want to see what happens next.
Oh, it's because of Tom Baker you was hooked on this show.
Well, yeah, it was kind of everything coincided. It was like, Tom Baker was great. The scripts were great. The directing was great. And he had the great companions, of course. It was all this kind of magic, timeless, perfect soup, perfect stew.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so we dive into the companions of this Doctor. He had a few of these companions, and last time we talked about Sarah Jane Smith.
Yes,
she was in the last story of
John Pertwee.
She was met with John Pertwee in the Planet of Spiders. As you saw him regenerating into the fourth Doctor, Tom Baker. Mm-hmm. And that combination was a very, very different combination.
She does adjust to the change very quickly. Like on the Troughton stream, we talked about the fact that Ben and Polly were very skeptical. I mean, well, Polly was sympathetic. She was a bit trusting of this new Doctor. Ben was having none of it. Ben was like, I don't believe this is the Doctor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so so basically, but here, Sarah, like she's seen the Doctor change before her eyes, and she knows that. I think the Brigadier's probably assured her, look, this is what the Doctor does. He changes. Like he's changed appearance before. This is the first time I've seen it happen, but he's changed appearance before. Mm-hmm. And so, and also she spoke to, what was the Time Lord's name? In this Planet of the Spiders, there was the Time Lord the Buddhist who told Sarah that it was, she basically explained the process. It was kind of this ritual where the Doctor would become a new man. Was it Campo?
Yeah, Campo.
Yeah,
Campo. Yeah.
So I was thinking of Big Trouble in Little China then. But the thing is, when they've got this problem with the robot.
Yeah.
This rampaging robot. And the Doctor's been knocked down. And I think Benton or the Brigadier wants to question the Doctor about it, and she says, "Don't you dare, he's had a nasty knock." And so it's like she's still protected to the Doctor. She still thinks of her as thinks of him as her Doctor.
Yeah.
So it's that instant protectiveness. But it's quite an emotional time for Sarah, I think, this change.
Yeah, that's right. She doesn't know what to expect, and she still can see the Doctor in him.
Yeah, that's it. Because when he first changes, he's a bit delirious, and I'm pretty sure the Doctor starts mumbling things about. He's mumbling about brontosauruses and this and that, and Sarah says, "No, he's talking about our first adventure." I remember that. So it's like she knows this guy has the same memories as her Doctor, so that's how she instantly thinks that it's the same Doctor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right.
That connection's still there.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. There's some feeling, there's some connection.
Yeah,
that's right. Now it's in the fourth Doctor is in the setting of the fact that his previous incarnation was most of the time exiled on Earth, but this was free to go. So with wanderlust and renewed curiosity, he's traveling to time and space with Sarah Jane and also with Harry Sullivan.
Yeah,
in the first place.
That's right. Yeah, Harry is like really skeptical about the idea of the TARDIS.
Yes, that's right.
He laughed at the idea, and I think the Doctor and Sarah kind of gang up on a bit and say, "Let's show him. Let's show him it's real." So they bring him in and take him on his first trip, don't they?
Yeah, that's right. And Harry Sullivan is one of the is in service of the unit. I think
he's part of the Navy, I believe, and he's basically a doctor.
Yeah, he's basically a doctor in the service of the Navy. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So he has an affiliation with the unit.
Yeah.
In that case.
He's very old-fashioned as well. Like Sarah notices that he has a very kind of, the way he treats her is quite paternal, quite kind of a bit patronizing. She finds that annoying, but she also kind of, I guess she's kind of fond of it, but like she has to get used to the fact that Harry is just set in his ways a bit.
Yeah. She always says this explicit to him that he's old-fashioned.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah. In the beginning, he's very skeptical, and I think it's a good antagonist to the Doctor a little bit to give some what do you call it? A sort of break, or
you mean a challenge, or
challenge? Yes.
or maybe not someone who kind of someone who's a bit kind of less in awe of him, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so, what do you think of the combination with Sarah Jane, Harry and Sarah Jane? Is it working well, or do you think that no?
I think
in comparison to other combinations.
I'd say they work. I'd say they work as a perfect trio. I think. Like Harry Sullivan feels like he's a little bit the comic relief. He's there to be the buffoon of the group, and so he's always the butt of the jokes. You get the sense they always Sir and the Doctor kind of bully him something rotten sometimes, don't they?
Mm-hmm.
But he takes it gracefully, and there are moments though where I think he suffers like that gladly. He suffers that kind of the role of the idiot quite well. But there are also times when he's kind of is sensible. The sensible part of him kicks in, like the moment in Genesis of the Daleks when the Doctor stepped on that landmine, and it's Harry who basically he's the one who has to basically the landmine is lodged over this rocky terrain, so they're having to try to basically trying to balance the landmine on some rocks so that it doesn't tip, because so the Doctor can gently take his foot off it, and Harry is very it's very kind of it's a very serious moment. You see the Harry be incredibly serious about this, incredibly delicate, like he's kind of just the Doctor's life is in his hands, and he's just going to be very, very delicate. It's like, in a way, it's like being a surgeon. It's like it's a delicate operation, and that's where the kind of that's where the Doctor in him comes out. I feel, and he's willing to stay with the Doctor because the Harry the Doctor's saying, look, you don't need to stay with me. It's like, look, I'm staying. Look, we're just I'm going to make sure you get out of this, all right, and I'm going to put my life on the line to make sure you do, because obviously, if it goes wrong, the landmine blows up and kills both of them.
Yeah. One of the stories is the Ark in Space, when he travels with the Doctor.
Mm-hmm.
And then again, also there's one case that the trio is intercepted by the Time Lords. They go to it as they return to Nerva in the story of Ark in Space. They were transported to Scarrow.
Yep,
to prevent the creation of the Daleks.
Yep.
Is that the story what you meant by what you first saw? Genesis?
That's the first one. Yeah, that's the first one.
Yeah, that's the first one, and that was with Harry. So also you saw the first companions where Sarah and Harry. Then you saw in the story.
Indeed. Yeah.
And what was your impression? What do you thought in the first time when you saw that story? Did you know anything about Doctor Who, or what were your feelings about it? What are the two companions, or didn't you know it? Or
the most we knew about Doctor Who was mainly because there was a computer game at that time called Dalek Attack, and obviously Genesis of the Daleks was the story of how the Daleks were created and how they became this menace. And I mean, Harry he a little bit blurred in the background to me. I'm not going to lie. He did blur in the background, and he was kind of, he was just one of the, he was kind of just, Sarah kind of stood out a bit more. She was kind of the more, impassioned kind of, like the scene, for instance, where the Doctor's about to blow the incubator room up. Like, she's the one who's actually, she's passionately saying, look, you've got to destroy them. The Daleks are the great evil. If you don't destroy them, then there's going to be millions of worlds are going to suffer. So, and it's you saw that passion come out of her, really.
So, as I understand it, he was more like a sidekick or something of Sarah Jane.
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah.
Yeah, but you have done Sarah as the companion, and he is a sidekick of Sarah Jane.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I got the sense. I definitely got the sense that Harry fancied Sarah, and Sarah was having none of it. She was like, "No way, you're gonna no chance with me, Harry.
Oh yeah, that's a possibility. Yeah, because she was longer in the show, but also he was just finding his way in all the things. For Sarah, Sarah was more of I want to take that challenge, and he was more like fun. Okay, what we do next?
Mhm.
More. She was more proactive, and he was like more of okay, the situation is this, and then okay,
Um,
how we react. She was more proactive, I think.
I think he was proactive, but I think he didn't quite have the hang of this business yet.
Yeah.
She had more
Yes.
of a hang of it than he did. Like
Yeah,
you see
that's
in,
right.
for instance, in the Sontaran experiment, the Harry is as heroic as he can be. Like he like when he finds like a captured Sontaran prisoner,
Yeah.
he's he's quick to try and get aid to him, try to get water to him, and he's like he's doing his best as a doctor, but again, it's an overwhelming situation, and it's like I think in the end they know they only the doctor can really deal with this kind of thing, but they both each do their best. But like I said, Sarah's the Sarah's definitely the she's more she has the greater wisdom, I would say, and she knows kind of what to do a bit more, but it's ultimately the doctor who knows really what to do. And
so next one was that
yeah. Harry stayed with them for a time, and then it was Terror of the Zygons. That was when Harry left, wasn't it? And now the interesting thing is, there is a scene where Harry is abducted by the Zygons, and he's replaced. Like there's a Zygon that enters and basically briefly tricks Sarah into so he can collect the tracking device. And Sarah, like, there is actually, I've read the novelization of Terror of the Zygons, and it's the bit where like he kind of shoves past her. She just senses that there's something not right about him. So it's like she's known Harry long enough to know that this is not the Harry she knows.
Yeah.
And there's a particular line in the novelization where it says Sarah was like, well, look, because there's a scene where he just shoves right past her. I think he backhands her or something. And in the book, it's like Sarah understood Harry is far too old-fashioned to even raise his voice to a lady, let alone his hand. It's like, that's not Harry. That is not Harry. And so she kind of gives chase to him. And there's that scene in the barn where that to me is one of my favorite scary moments in Doctor Who. Like, it's a very tense moment where Sarah is venturing into the barn to try and find this double of Harry, and he's got this pitchfork ready to ambush her. And it's like, the way it's shot is brilliant. But he also gets to be quite heroic in this, because there is a scene where the Scarrison is chasing the Doctor, and it's about to crush him, and it's Harry who kind of throws himself on the machine console, and basically that confuses the Scarrison, and it confuses the way the Scarrison's controlled, and that gives the Doctor a chance to escape. So that was a kind of great heroic moment for Harry.
Absolutely. Yeah, you can say that Sarah Jane is not naive.
No,
she's a woman who has you can really see things clearly.
Well, I think she's got a good understanding of people, and I think she's got a good understanding of Harry. She's built up a good understanding of Harry and who Harry is, and so she knows this isn't Harry.
Yeah, she's a very sharp woman. You can also see that in what we also discussed earlier about that she has her own spin-off series, Sarah Jane Adventures. You can also see that same tact with people. She can clearly see. She oversees the situation. She's not naive, and she's not so early tricked or call it. She's not so that people cannot trick her so far so quick.
No, indeed.
So, and that's very handy for her, and also in her job as a journalist. It's very Also, it's also important for our job to be tactful. People moet tact and to handle people and to how you talk to people, and you see that in Doctor Who, also in that spin-off series. So
Yeah.
it's a woman with many possibilities, and she can really fill in for and really work together with people.
Indeed, yeah.
Very
Well,
good.
yeah.
She's
Well, you
yeah.
when you see that in Terror of the Zygons, well, you kind of hear about it
Yeah.
in Terror of the Zygons because she gets to know the locals very, very quickly. She speaks to the locals. She gets an idea of the mysteries of this town quite well. So she's very she's she's got the confidence that a journalist needs to go out and meet people. And so after Terror of the Zygons, they're separated, aren't they? Sorry, I mean, it's no longer Sarah and Harry. It's just the Doctor. It's just the Doctor with Sarah, isn't it?
And she's for other duties. He's got a unit.
Yeah, I get the sense he kind of decided he was done with the adventuring, wasn't he? Kind of felt,
Yeah, that's right.
This is too much.
Yeah.
That dog, there's quite an excited dog in the background.
Yeah. I think that Harris. Yeah.
Is that your dog or neighbor's dog?
No, it's the dog of the neighbor.
Oh, right, okay.
Oh, very. It's not K9. The weakness does relate to K9, by the way. As when the story when Sarah Jane said goodbye to the Fourth Doctor, the Fourth Doctor leaves her. That is a very emotional scene.
Yes.
Yeah,
Indeed.
and then it is later on in the new order classic. In the new periods of Doctor Who, you can also see some references about that. And why were you not coming back? And that.
Yeah, it's because the Doctor got summoned to Gallifrey, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But and at that time they didn't allow humans on Gallifrey. Now there's still a bit more to cover, do you feel? I mean, there's still quite a lot to cover with Sarah. I mean, she is with the Doctor for quite a while after Harry leaves. So there's let's see, Pyramids of Mars is probably a really good one to discuss because that's where we actually see how, like, in Pyramids of Mars we really see how Sarah kind of sometimes doesn't quite. Sometimes she can be quite shocked at how callous the Doctor can be, because she really cares about Professor Scarman, and his brother has been possessed by Sutek.
Yeah.
And the Doctor's kind of saying, look, you need to let go. You let go of this idea that your brother is still alive. He's gone, and but Lawrence Scarman, he's lost his brother Marcus Scarman, but he kind of can't let go. And later, Marcus actually visits him, and possessed Marcus visits him and kind of kills him. And the Doctor kind of returns to find Lawrence's corpse there, and Sarah's really compassionate. She said, it's like, but he cared so much about his brother. And the Doctor kind of brushes it off and goes, well, I told him not to. And she's like really shocked at how callous he's been, how cavalier he is about this, how unfeeling he is. And she says, sometimes you don't seem human. And it's like it hits her. He's not human. And also he's kind of dealing, he's kind of got this very cold, pragmatic view of things, which is, look, he's one life. I'm trying to save millions of lives here.
Yeah.
And Sarah's like kind of quite distraught at that. She's seeing just how alien the Doctor can be.
Yeah, that's right. She knows more than other companions the depths of the Doctor.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Yeah, she knows how to more than other companions. She knows how to handle that.
Well, it's kind of. I mean, I do feel they have a special. There's an understanding between them very much. I mean, when you spend time around the Doctor, like there is a scene in The Ark in Space where I think sometimes it was basically he's kind of muttering to himself, and the Nerva kind of, the population of Vira, who's kind of the head of the Nerva population, she's like, what is he saying? And Sarah just says, sometimes he talks to himself when he feels like he needs to consult a higher intellect or something. So she knows that the Doctor has these kind of eccentric habits and eccentric ways, and so she knows that he's very, very different, but from being around him, she gets a sense of how he works and how he, it's like he's got these kind of these traits. When we talked about the traits of the Doctor, she's been around him long enough to know what this means.
Yes, that's right. Yeah,
and, it's kind of a beautiful dynamic.
And that's the reason why she's so emotional about it, that the Doctor is leaving her and not coming back all the time. He leaves her, and later on you see it with the 10th Doctor that she is still struggling, and because she had no life. She had, after the Doctor, she always waited for him.
Yeah, that's a new series take on it. I mean, I'm skeptical. I feel like, Sarah she had control of her career. She had, she understood there was kind of, there were times in your life where, this was a once in a lifetime, kind of great adventure, but now it's time to settle down on Earth. And it's like, look, I sensed she didn't really miss the danger of that life. I feel like she probably wouldn't. It was like, well, look, it's it was fun. Well, it was fun, but it was also dangerous. So it's maybe time to settle down. And I get that sense from, from both K9 and Company and the 5 Doctors that she's happier, just with ordinary life again.
Yes, that's right. It's a double thing.
But I think maybe
so she wanted to have a more regular life, but at the same time, after a while she misses the Doctor and the adventures.
Well, yeah, I mean, because during those adventures, it was quite a harrowing. It could be a harrowing experience for her. I mean, it was, there was, high stress, high danger. Like there was, there are stories where she gets very, very kind of, like in Brain and Morbius, like when she's encountered the Sisterhood, and she sneaks into the Sisterhood's coven to rescue the Doctor, and she gets hit by a stray flash of a Sisterhood's ring, and it blinds her. And there's a long time she thinks she's going to be blind for life, and that's basically her whole life is going to be just a blind woman selling flowers outside Buckingham Palace. And she's like, so it's not. There's a lot of stressful events involved in being with the Doctor.
Yeah.
And so I feel like in the end it was, it's that kind of thing where she said, I don't think I can take much more in Planet of the Spiders. So I feel like maybe she decided, but that's the thing. There's also, there's fear, but there's also courage. I mean, my favorite Sarah Jane Smith moment is in Seed of Doom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's where she spent much of the story being held hostage by this thuggish mercenary called Scorby, and he's an absolute bully. He's a nasty piece of work, and he's got kind of no chivalry about him. He's just he seems to particularly bully her.
Yeah.
And there's this one scene where they're all being besieged by the crime lords in this mansion, and he's kind of he's talking about being a survivor, says, and she kind of has this rant at him about his macho act, his boys and his toys thing. It's all this. You think it's all a game, don't you? And she really roars in his face, and he says, "Oh, okay, I'm not going to deal with this," and he kind of storms off.
Yeah.
And there's this look on her face where she closes her eyes with dread, and it's almost like this moment of regret of, oh my God, how the hell was I that brave in the face of this guy? But it came from somewhere, this courage. Like, she felt the fear, but she was brave in the face of him, and I think that's her. That's her spirit.
Yeah, it's one of her very strong characteristics.
Indeed.
She can oversee the thing, and she can handle the fear.
Indeed, yeah.
Yeah, that is fair. And Yeah, it is very interesting companion, Sarah Jane. You can spend hours about her, and yeah, I really like her as a companion, the doctor. She's also a companion that can work with all doctors.
Oh,
She has proven that by the way, she has more stories with also with Tennant with Matt Smith. He can work with all doctors. That's because she has that this character, all the character traits
yeah,
to need to assist the doctor in everything.
that's true.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite, most favorite companions, Jane Smith. She's there's really to be honored. She's the actress is no longer with us, but she was really good in one of the I think blueprints for other female companions.
Yeah, she was.
Yeah,
She set a very high standard, definitely.
yeah, a very very high standard for other female companions, and we have now a beautiful bridge to Lila.
Oh yes,
But that was a bit with after tangling with the decayed master on Gallifrey when he tried to heal himself and renew his regeneration cycle. He met and traveled with Leela after 17.
yeah. That's basically it was this crash survey team, and over time, this crash survey team basically, they had offspring, and obviously gradually over time, because they were stranded on this jungle world, they started to become. They kind of reverted to this kind of tribe, and basically everything became a linguistic corruption. So there was these two tribes. There was the Seva team and the Tesh, and basically that's the descendants of the survey team and the technicians. And so Leela, I think she broke one of the tribe's sacred codes or something. She'd ventured beyond the tribe or something, or she'd kind of seen something forbidden, and so she was condemned to exile.
Yeah.
And because of that, that's how she met the Doctor, wasn't it? She was wondering, and that's where she meets the Doctor. And
yes, that's right. Yeah.
He offers her a jelly baby, and she says, "You're the evil one. They say the evil one eats babies."
At first, he thinks he's the evil one, and then really she trusted him. He thinks, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And during his travels with Leela, we have the new companion in the robot dog, K9.
Oh yes, he comes later. Yeah, that's introduced in the Invisible Enemy. That's when basically they land on this. It's this. Oh yeah, basically this intelligent virus that starts infecting humans.
Yeah.
And it turns basically into its zombies. And the Doctor has to work on a cure, and he works with this guy called Professor Marius on this medical station. And Professor Marius has this robot dog he brought from Earth called K9. It's basically this mobile computer. And they find that K9 is actually quite useful when it comes to the fight against, because it's armed with lasers. It's got it can carry a lot of data in its programming. So they find it's quite a useful device for useful kind of ally in the fight against the zombie virus.
Yeah. So what is interesting about Leela is that she is a warrior in all things. She wants to attack. She's a little bit aggressive. In comparison to other companions, she's more warrior-like, more of the attacks and very impulsive. So very interesting companion.
But yeah, she's only ever known the tribal life.
Yeah.
And I mean, this is the thing. I feel like some people have said, like, for her background, she's quite intelligent. Like and it's the Doctor who's kind of, I think maybe he sees an intelligence in her, and he for the most part he's quite dismissive of her. He says she's just a savage. But I feel like everything's an enigma to her, and the Doctor's an enigma to her, and she feels like in a way she understands him, even though they don't really connect, because he's quite aloof and she's trying to make sense out of all of this.
Yeah.
And but she kind of gradually she comes to understand, maybe less by his words, but more by how he acts, how moody he can get, how eccentric he can get. She just begins to understand the Doctor.
More of instinct. I think.
Indeed, yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's kind of, like there's a scene in The Robots of Death where she says to Poole, "You move like a hunter," and the Doctor says, "You're very good at study of body language," and she says, "What is body language?" It's like she knows it, but she doesn't know what she doesn't know the word for it, but she understands it. If you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and it's very. You can see that already in the beginning. Once she can become the leader of her world, but she follows the Doctor. She decides to follow the Doctor because she has something in her that says, "Yeah, I must follow this man. I want to be I want to explore my and be a better person." I think so sort of thing.
I think it's curiosity. I think it's kind of
curiosity. Yes, yeah.
She's compelled by curiosity. She likes him. She's fond of him, and she feels like she's. I don't know. You could say almost she's imprinted on him in a way.
Yeah.
She kind of he's shown her a different kind of outlook on the world, and she feels like she wants to know more now.
Yeah, that's right.
So that's the thing is, like, at the end of that episode, like she says, it's like, "Are you following me?" It's like, "Yes, I want to come with you." It's like, "Don't you like me?" It's like, "Yes, I like lots of people, but I don't travel with them." But she insists on joining them, and she kind of forces her way into the TARDIS, and it's like, "Don't touch that switch," and she does it anyway.
And just like she has one thing in common with Jamie McCrimmon, that she was also a little bit of understanding of technical things of the Doctor.
Indeed.
Because she but she was educated by the Doctor in the whole process. During the travels with the Doctor, she is educated.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the most things, the stories I like with Leela is with the Tales of Wen Qian.
Oh, I love that.
I think I like that story because she is so good in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. With Henry Gordon Jaco and George Lightfoot. By the way, there's a part Big Finish series with these two.
Oh yes.
Yeah, and it is very good to see her suddenly with other clothes, and she's really she's learning things in that story, and she's really good participates in the story.
Yeah, she's got no dining table etiquette, has she? And like I think even Professor Lightfoot's a little bit kind of charmed by that. So okay, she's that's just her way. She's so she's just savage.
Yeah, she still remains quick to violence and primitive things.
Well, yeah, but I think in this situation it's called for. It's like it's a very, very rough time, and you got this kind of you got this kind of Lee Sen Chang's gang, and so because for instance there is the scene where one of them tries to throw an axe at the Doctor. She impales him with a Jaina thorn, and the Doctor's about to lecture, and she says, "Hang on, he was about to kill you." And I think the Doctor's kind of got no callback to that. It says, okay, she's got a point. I'll give her that one.
Yeah.
And also, I do feel like in Towns of Wing Chang, you see the compassion of Leela as well. Like, there's a scene where Lee Sen Chang has basically hypnotized this young urchin woman, and he's held her captive. He's drawn her back to the theater, and Leela goes after her, and he's she does everything she can to save this woman. It's like she feels like she has to be heroic because she senses this man's evil. He means this girl harm. I'm not going to let that happen. So she's quite compassionate.
Yeah, and sympathy.
Yeah,
with the Doctor. For example, with Image of the Vandal.
I think I think what it is she understands.
Yeah.
That because she's quite naive, maybe she sees in this girl a similar naivety, and she feels like it's not right that a naive girl like that is taken advantage of by a malevolent figure, and that's kind of so she's got a core sense of right and wrong.
Yeah. And that was what I was looking for. The word. She was superstitious.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
She's there's a scene actually in Horrifying Rock where she's talking to Lady Adelaide. Now, Lady Adelaide is this posh woman, very privileged, very sheltered, but she has a horoscope. I think she consults someone about her horoscope that year, and Leela's kind of talking about, what do you mean? And so Leela kind of thinks, oh, your horoscope, the guy who gives you your horoscope must be your shaman. And she said, I used to believe in superstition, but now I believe in science. The doctors, it's almost like she's kind of changed religions to science because the doctors shown her.
Yeah. But she was still tearing meat off with the bone with her teeth in 10 Days of Winter, by the way.
Indeed, yes.
A little bit. They're full of things, but I think her whole character was really seen in this story. So that is why I mentioned this story, because you saw really the characteristics of her in that story.
Yes.
Yeah,
she's the one who. She's also the one who she braves when they're being attacked by the Chinese dragon. She's the one who braves it to kind of shoot its kind of she braves it to get the gun and to shoot its sights out.
Yeah.
So that's we see the courage in her come out there a lot.
Yes, that's right. And there's also a story, The Horror of Fang Rock, also a very epic story with that.
I love that story.
It's a very creepy story. This, by the way, is a good Halloween story for Fang Rock, for Doctor Who.
Indeed,
yeah.
It is.
Yes. Oh, also with the fog or mist, what do you call it? There's
The,
mysterious things happening and then people killed off.
Yes, this they're being attacked by this chameleonic creature.
Yeah.
It turns out to be a Rutan. And one of them takes the form of the senior member of the lighthouse, and Leela's kind of can't get through to him. Like basically, goes into recluse in his room, and she's trying to bang the door down and says, "Come out, old one." And the doctor's kind of saying to her, the Malicious Damaging Act covers lighthouses, and she just hammered in the door. You see.
Yeah. And she says also I too used to believe in magic, but the doctor has taught me about science.
Indeed, yeah.
It's better to believe in science so she says in that story. So
oh, by the way, I have to say, Lady Adelaide, she gets really hysterical in that story. Every time there's a death or something, she's the one who's the most dramatic and the most histrionic. Like she'll scream, she'll kind of start weeping, and like there's a scene where she screams like when getting the news, and Leela smacks her. She just and I remember watching that with a flatmate of mine, and he said, "Rewind that bit. I want to see that again."
Yeah, that's these two stories, Horror Frank Rock and Wang Chiang, are one of the best stories with Leela in it.
Definitely.
Yeah. So this is very you can for advice if you want to watch some Halloween Doctor Who, watch The Horror of Fang Rock. Very that's very my advice.
Might watch that one later tonight. In fact,
yeah, you can watch it later. I can watch it later also. It's a good idea to watch it again.
Yes,
this story for Halloween. Yeah. And now we know what happened to Leela in the end.
Oh well, before we do that, let's talk about the Sunmakers.
The Sunmakers, yes, that's right. That's good.
Because that I think is probably, to me, I think the Sunmakers is probably one of. That's where you see Leela come to fore a lot in that, because she. One of my favorite lines from Leela in that is. Because they basically the plot of the Sunmakers. It's this planet. It's basically this Earth has colonized Pluto, and they've got this kind of this. It's basically there's so much taxation going on. It's like this really industrial, population. Like the entire population is just basically they're just wage slaves, and they're being kind of, and they all have to pay taxes. And she finds this when they land, the moment they land on the planet, they see one of the workers who can't pay off his debts is just about to jump to his death, and Leela's the one who springs to action. She's kind of trying to save the guy and stop him from killing himself. It's Cordo, and so they rescue him, and then they get chased by the security, and the doctor asks you, "Why did you run?" And she, because he's explained the concept of taxes to her as this kind of sacrifice that people have to pay. She says, "Perhaps everyone runs from the tax man." And it's just Then they meet the rebels. They go below ground, and they find like there is a kind of a population of outlaws there.
Mm-hmm.
And they put the doctor up to do a robbery for them, and he gets caught. And when he gets caught, that's when Leela's kind of begging them, "Look, we need to go and fight to liberate him. We need to rescue the doctor," because she's been told that once the doctor's caught, he's going to get taken to some brain correction facility. When she knows what that means.
Mm-hmm.
And she's basically the rebels are they're used to skulking around and just surviving on what they've stolen. And she says, "You are less than rats." Basically, she kind of gives this great speech to them about, if you want to survive, you will survive. You'll survive without any honor whatsoever. And she's given this great speech about honor and about dignity to these people. It's a beautiful moment. It's kind of it's so Leela.
Yes.
Cordo goes with her, and I really do sense there is a kind of a strong chemistry. I think Leela kind of is a bit hot for Cordo.
Yeah,
I think she is.
She's brilliant in that story. Yeah. She's a sort of key role in that story.
Yeah, she's kind of she's a very cunning fighter. She's the one who kind of leads the attack, and obviously K9 helps a lot. But
I think that she is. She was not. This character was well written and well developed.
Yeah, she was.
You can see progress in this one. I think is one of the good examples of a campaign who is really good developed, and she herself is putting all things in it to evolve, or you call it, to be better.
Definitely, she was very well written. Very well written.
Yeah, and you can see also that she has compassion for the role. Also. Yes, that she is very enthusiastic to playing Doctor Who. I can see that on screen. You can feel that she had, that she has really pleasure in playing that role. And you can see also the development.
I've met Louise Jameson quite a few times at conventions.
Mm-hmm.
That's definitely when I get her to sign an item, it's usually like, for instance, I brought The Invisible Enemy for her to sign, and she was saying to me, "I really like that story. I think it's a shame that fans overlooked that a bit because of the fans always point to this story, the great stories, and they kind of overlook this one." She says,
which story was that?
I believe it was The Invisible Enemy. I got it to sign.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I read something about that in the past. Yeah. It was underrated for.
Yeah. She was very fond of her time, I feel. I mean, she has said she felt like. She did say that it took a while for Tom Baker to warm to her, because Tom Baker had such a warm bond with Elizabeth Sladen, and with her it was kind of, he was a bit colder. He didn't really like the idea of having a companion anymore, and certainly not a companion of Leela's character, because he felt like Leela, she was violent. That was not the ethos of the show. I guess he was kind of quite used to getting her way and getting his way, and then so he was a bit kind of dismissive to her, and then they reunited to do the Big Finish audios, and that's when Tom said to her, "I wasn't very kind to you back in the day, was I?" And he was really apologetic about it, and he kind of realized, and she was, you know, it was a lovely moment. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. Then we have the robot dog K9 in combination with Leela also.
Indeed.
K9. We have.
I actually, there's a I know I watched the filmmakers earlier today, and I noticed when the Doctor and K9 are playing chess, and obviously Leela has to administer the moves that K9 dictates on the chessboard. Because she's not so good at playing chess, but she I think K9 is. K9's good at it, and he's K9 knows the right moves, and I think there's this kind of K9 gets it checkmated really quickly, and the Doctor's kind of, how the hell can that dog beat me? How on earth is that dog? And she's kind of overjoyed at this because she feels like, because the Doctor's the superior one who doesn't, you know, she feels like he's always kind of always acting like the superior one. She kind of, she's in alliance with K9 that we've beat him together. There's that lovely kind of affection. She has an affection for K9, and obviously the feeling that together they've beaten him on this kind of thing.
Yeah, that's right. A bit of
a bit of a kick
each other.
Yeah, it's kind of like she kind of loves kind of getting to kick the Doctor's complacency and kind of show he's not such the know-it-all as he acts.
Yeah. But we see that in that returning once more to Gallifrey to stop an invasion of Vernon's Leela and the original K9 staying behind there.
Oh yeah, Invasion of Time. That's where
Invasion of Time.
Now that's where the Doctor goes quite strange, doesn't he? Because he takes them back to Gallifrey and he kind of suddenly demands that he wants to be president of this world, and he won't tell Leela anything about what he's doing, and he basically has Leela exiled. And Leela kind of Leela has to manage with. She joins forces with this security guard called Rodan.
Yeah.
Gallifrey, and they fall in with this tribe outside the city in Gallifrey, and they go into it is that kind of, again, it's that case of the Doctor's. She's having to make sense of the Doctor being stranger than usual, but she's kind of trusting her instincts that he's that he you know, he's got a kind of, his overall goal in this is noble, and that he's acting this way for good reason, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so she kind of leads the fight to and you know, she kind of joins forces with, you know, she forges allies. They fight off the Sontarans in the end, and you know, and that's where her warrior skills come in, because she's there's a scene where this Sontaran is she has to take out the Sontaran. What she does, she leads the tribe. She throws her voice so that basically the Sontaran turns away from her, thinking that it's heard her from behind, and then she throws a knife and it gets him right in the pubic vent.
Yeah.
And it's perfect. And it's just kind of Leela kind of, you know, showing her skills again.
Yeah, they're really their fighting skills and their leadership skills.
Indeed, yeah.
Yeah. So we can talk more about K9. There are more marks of K9. The first one is left behind with Leela on Gallifrey.
Yeah,
with other mark also, with the combination of Romana, we discuss later. But
K9, the Doctor basically, K9 decides to leave, stay with Leela. I think it's like, again, it's that thing. I think Leela, maybe K9's fonder of Leela than the Doctor. I don't know, possibly. And so the Doctor kind of has to. He's left solo, but he decides to break out this new K9. He's going to make himself another K9.
Yeah, that's right.
And by the Rivals operation, he's got a new K9 Mark II.
Yeah.
And he really doesn't like the fact that Romana's being enfostered on them now as a new companion.
Yeah, that's right. By the way, K9, the main actor is John Leeson, who is the voice of K9.
Yep.
And we can talk about K9, but we can also in combination with Romana. The first Romana, but because later on we see that Romana regenerates, but the first Romana now first is played by
Mary Tam.
Mary Tam.
I got reprimanded by her once.
What?
I got reprimanded by her once.
Okay.
She was doing a talk at the Fab Cafe. There was this pub convention. She was explaining about her acting history and how her philosophy on acting and various different philosophies there are on acting. And she kind of talks about the American versus British version. And as she was giving this talk, I had this kind of plastic bag of videos, and I was kind of rooting for which one I wanted her to sign. And I must have been making more noise than I intended, because she kind of said, "Excuse me, do you mind not making my noise while I'm talking?" And so I was kind of, oh dear, I've been reprimanded by Mary Tam.
It's a funny story. Yeah. Oh, by the way, have you visited more conventions in the past?
I've been to quite a few. Yeah, I've been to several. Let's see. I've been to the first one I went to was at the Adelphi Hotel in Liverpool. Was the Day of the Daleks convention in 2000. That was the first convention I went to. And then the next one I went to was in 2009. I went to Glasgow. There was a convention there. That's where I met Wendy Padbury and who else was there? Nicola Bryant was there. Wendy Padbury. Colin Baker was there. They're all lovely. You know, I still go when I can. During COVID, I really kind of found myself planning for. I miss conventions. I really do.
Yeah. The first Romana was really different from the second Romana. We will discuss that later, but we only go now to the first Romana. She was more. She was a little bit of sophisticated, overconfident.
She was fresh out of the Time Lord Academy, so she was probably instilled with a lot of kind of rote knowledge and kind of you got the sense she studied very well, and she kind of just she a little bit looked down on the Doctor because he'd apparently not studied so well. He'd done a second attempt. He'd kind of only graduated from the academy on a second attempt or something.
Yeah.
And so she kind of felt like she was superior to him in that. It's like she just knew more than him. And this is kind of the core divide between the two, because he's like, well, yes, I failed at the education I failed, but I've learned a hell of a lot more from practical experience. And his kind of angle is, I'm going to show you that I know better what it's like out there, because Gallifrey, it's a sheltered society. You don't understand the universe. I do, because I've actually lived the universe.
Yeah. And also, she was able to properly and smoothly lend the TARDIS. Simply by reading the instruction manual. The Doctor have not the patience to read that, but she does, and she learns the Doctor. So you lend the TARDIS simply by reading the instruction. By the inspired planet, for example.
Yeah, he's quite territorial, because he's like, it's my TARDIS, it's my console, I'll land it.
Yeah, more of she's more of a bossy type, Romana.
Yeah, she's quite take charge.
Yeah. But she was inexperienced in traveling, so that's what the thing that she learned from the Doctor. So they were in something things they were equally to each other in the fact that they take each other in balance.
Yeah, I think sometimes he could be quite grumpy, and she sometimes needed to do the handle the charm side of things. Like we see that in the Pirate Planet, like where the Doctor's kind of trying to talk to the locals and no one wants to know, but the locals are much more responsive to her, because she's just better at it. She's just better at kind of striking up a rapport with people and being charming and being, positive and.
Yeah. What's it precursor, for instance, was my she could be arrogant and patronizing in a verbal operation, for example.
Yeah, she was. I mean, they do. Indeed, like I think at first the Doctor really doesn't like her.
Yeah.
He really resents having her thrust on him as his companion. But it's.
But we can see that she also become more resourceful and competent as an adventurer.
Yeah.
At the end, you can see that in Androids of Terra. And so, like the Doctor, she preferred to think her way out of situations. You can see that also, I think, but was not opposed to force when necessary.
Mm-hmm. In the Pirate Planet,
yeah,
we see that in the Pirate Planet. She kind of picks up a blaster and she kind of goes. She has a shootout with the guards.
Yeah. And, we see that during the travels with the Doctor, she regenerates also, and that is a really other Romana.
Yeah,
you can compare that with her.
Well, that's the thing. In even like in the Armageddon Factor, when they've had to collect the segments of the key to time, and one of the segments is Princess Astra.
Yeah.
And Romana's horrified of the fact that they just have to hand over the key, and it's like, well, look, Astra was a living person, and like she's horrified. She's horrified that the Doctor's being so kind of job-like about it. So, like, even though she's quite Time Lordy, there's a compassion to her, a very strong compassion to her.
Yeah.
And she's out, and I think also she's kind of it's her first encounter with how callous this universe can be, and so that brings that out of her, how cruel the universe can be.
Yeah.
So, and then she kind of. And both her and the Doctor stress that the Black Guardian comes to collect the key, but like he disguises himself as the White Guardian, and he gives himself away by being very, very callous about when he's told that one of the segments was Princess Astra, and she's like, the White Guardian would never have been that callous, so she kind of again it's that instinct thing,
mm-hmm.
And I think she's learning to trust her instincts because she's like, well, I didn't quite trust it. And it's like, why didn't I trust that? And it's the Doctor didn't trust it. And she's like, why don't you trust him? And that's how she gets to the position of, we don't trust him because of that. That's why. That was the giveaway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so then there's a change, as we say. Romana changes.
Yeah.
This has caused a lot of controversy in fandom, why did she change? It doesn't make sense. And like there's a lot of the unfolding text is Ian Levine ranting about this thing, saying it's makes no sense for her. Yeah.
She takes the appearance of Princess
Astra, yeah.
Yeah, Princess Astra in the Key to Time, after the Key to Time story.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like she just decides that she fancies trying on a new body for a change.
Yeah. Yeah, she and you can also see that's one of the things the regeneration. She is every time she says, "Is this a good appearance?" or "Is this a good appearance?" She can choose herself which appearance she will.
She's quite malleable.
Yeah,
I think that's during the early period of regeneration. She can do that without it costing her regeneration, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. So there's also because the whole thing of regeneration is the thing that is one of the main things in the show of Doctor Who, that regeneration thing. So I see it lately, but you can see also in this story with Romana Time Lady that she can choose her appearance in this case.
Yes, and
Yeah,
in the novel,
just that they have a lot of they have some influence in choosing her personalities. I
in the
think
in the
in some
novelization,
case. Yeah,
in the novelization, I think the Doctor's like speculating why she's able to do this willy nilly,
yeah,
how she can just take on forms, and I think he speculates that maybe they're just taught better how to pick their form in the academy, or maybe it's hinted it's a female thing, possibly. Maybe just they maybe the female of the species just is better at it.
yeah. That's a possibility.
Mhm.
It's not really explained why, but yeah. Because there's an example of that with in a new era of about that they
You know what?
with Pompeii with Peter Capaldi they meet he plays another part.
Yeah,
After a while he changes and then he says yes this was I can know this face just because I had met this appearance in Pompeii.
yeah. What happened was in the Fires of Pompeii episode, the Doctor
Yeah,
just about saved this family, and
yeah,
the patriarch of the house was played by Peter Capaldi.
yeah,
So he kind
yes,
of had that.
right.
And
So
I think later Peter Capaldi's the 12th Doctor saying why did I choose this face, and it's
yeah,
like he was explaining. It's a reminder to me of the life I saved, like that I chose to
yeah,
be the compassionate thing.
yeah,
Um, I have to say, there's in Day of the Doctor, there's that scene where the Doctor meets a curator who's played by Tom Baker,
yeah,
and he kind of explains, well, I've taken, in years to come, you might find yourself regenerating into old favorites forms,
yeah.
like back
The
to pre.
lieutenant now.
Yeah, but when Tom Baker says it, he's saying like you might find yourself going back to old incarnations you've had before,
Yeah,
and picking and choosing favorite forms to regenerate into. Now,
yeah,
I would have loved it if he'd said like a certain time lady you once knew, because
yeah,
that would have been that would instantly been Romana.
yeah.
She picked her favorites in this story.
Hmm. Oh, by the way, I want to see her in the future, Romana back.
Oh, that'd be brilliant. She's
Yeah, that would be brilliant for I think for a while that the new Doctor meets Romana again, and then they travel for a time. I think it's interesting again to revive her again, her character in the show because I think it's very interesting.
Mhm. So
Yeah,
Destiny of the Daleks. That's
yeah,
Romana's first Dalek story.
yeah. So she's also intelligent, like the former
Yeah, she
Romana.
like basically there's that scene where the Doctor finds this piece of debris in this in the remains of the Khalid city, and she basically deduces how it was made. That it was made out of limestone and clay, so it's concrete. Therefore, there was a civilization here once, and she just kind of,
Yeah,
she's clearly using her brain,
yeah,
and she's the one who. We also learn in this story that she has she learned in. She said that she was taught this at the academy because when she's caught by the Daleks and she wants to escape, she decides the best way to escape was to basically induce herself into a death state by suspend her breathing, stop her heart, so she appears dead, and then obviously she'll
yeah,
come to life later. But and it fools the Daleks to think she's died, so they just kind of leave her out. There's the burial for her body, and then obviously later when she comes round, she's alive again. But she says
yeah.
she was taught how to do that at the academy.
Oh yeah, yeah. We can see that Romana is also improved because their second incarnation is more than capable of separating from a doctor and resolving a situation on her own.
Indeed, just like Leela, actually.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
that's true. I mean, we see that in City of Death, where she's kind of
Yeah.
quite. She's very take charge in that. She's very intrepid.
yeah. And Nightmare of Eden and Horns of Nimon, also.
Oh, I love that bit in Haunted Name, where she's really she's really good at tearing strips off the villains in that. When she's kind of when Soldy just having his rant about the calamity, and like he's blaming her. You brought this calamity on. She says, you brought it on yourself. She's very good at that's her chance to be heroic.
Yeah. She could be fearful, but she remained very quick to react. We see that in the Destiny of the Daleks, yeah. Also in the Horns of Nimon. Meklos is ook one met die Greek face.
Yeah, that's true. Definitely.
But this Romana is different in some things than the previous incarnation. Romana 2 is more.
She's a bit more playful, I'd say.
Yeah, more. Good.
What? Sorry.
She is more willing to learn of more disciple, or how can you call that? More follower than the previous incarnation.
I'd say.
I think.
Yeah, maybe she's a bit more
less bossy.
I guess so. She's a bit more spontaneous. I feel like she's a bit more spontaneous as well. Like Mary Tam came across as a little bit uptight. Mary Tam's Romana came off as much more uptight, whereas I think Romana's a bit more loose and fun-loving, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
She I think she delights in things a bit more. She kind of gives her spirit a bit more to the adventure than Mary Tam's Romana did. Like you see that even when they're on the Eiffel Tower in City of Death, it's just like she's just soaking up the atmosphere of France, and like she's it's kind of she's caught up in the romantic mood. I feel in that.
Mm-hmm. The doctor himself described her as wonderful and as noblest Romana of them all in Warrior's Gate.
Yes, that's
one
true.
of the last story, I think, was Romana.
Indeed.
Yeah. So there are also some audios who says that she became president during the last Great Time War. In audios.
Yes.
So you can see also that she's capable of taking leadership. That's on one of the things, but you can already see that in the travels with the doctor that she has some qualities in that, but she's still learning, and I think the doctor is a good mentor for her, and you can see also that the influence of the doctor is so positive that she became later on the president of Gallifrey. So it's very good to see that that the doctor has some influence in it in her character development, in her career, you can call it. And at the end, there's also in the last story when Romana is seen it on the screen that she takes some leadership.
She feels. She feels an obligation to help the Tharals because they've had to liberate themselves from the humans, and she feels like she has to help them to. She basically chooses to go with them rather than the Doctor, and she says, "It's time I go separate ways from the Doctor."
Yeah. For the she concludes it's for me the time to go on my own, to find my own way, and to do my own adventure, my own challenge. Yeah.
Be my own Romana.
Yeah, be my own Romana. But he is very proud of her at the end.
Yeah. Yes.
Because he's really fond of her. He's very proud of her.
Indeed.
As you do that, so yeah, it's very good to see that dynamic between two time. Yeah, she's time lady, time Norse.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
it's
do feel, I must say, I
yeah,
do feel like the fourth Doctor and Romana could have gone on forever as a complete
yeah,
team up. I feel like they
there
could
are
have traveled,
more. Yeah,
indeed.
they could do more with that. That's the reason why I think that Romana can still work on now in the new era.
Mhm.
You can do that for a time. Yeah. Yeah, we have the robot dog K9 still. We have also K9 on another in the new Who. Also, we see K9 back, and we have also a sort of spin-off. Have you seen that? It is a little bit of a K9 TV series with
The Australian, sorry, the
yeah,
Australian.
Australia, from Australia. I've seen that in the past from Australia
I've seen bits of it, but not.
with the teens in it.
I've only seen bits of it. Sorry.
Hmm. Yeah,
Now I have So that was there were three. So there was three canines. There was the third canine was the one that the second canine goes with Romana,
yeah,
and the third canine is the one that he basically gifts to Sarah,
yeah,
Canine Company. Oh, actually no, there's a fourth because then he gets blown up,
yeah,
and the Doctor leaves it with a fourth canine.
yeah. And in the K9 version of in the TV series from Australia is a regenerated form. That's no canon, by the way. I think the most of the fans the think that is not canon. That K9 regenerates into a version of more sophisticated. Yeah. So there are more versions of K9, Mark 1, 2, and 3 or 4, and is that the thing that I haven't.
I say five. Well, okay, four.
How many versions are there?
I say five.
Okay, I think 5. I forgot also 5. Sorry, not. Mm-hmm.
I mean, on audio, the audio series, like there's a series called Gallifrey,
Yeah.
which is about Romana's presidency, and a lot of that series is about Romana's friendship with Leela.
Yeah.
And they make a perfect team, and it's like you wouldn't think that they'd become friends because Leela's quite savage and Romana's a bit snooty, but they have this wonderful friendship between them. They kind of, because they both been with the Doctor, they both got that kind of adventurous spirit to them.
Yeah.
And most of the Gallifreyans don't, so they have that bond together.
Yeah, it's a very combination. Yes.
Yeah, it's quite poignant.
Is it in the audio series?
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. K9 Mark II. That was the version that traveled. He makes a second version of K9.
That's right. Yeah.
Because Dr. K Mark stayed behind on Gallifrey, and that was an invasion of time. And then we have the E-Space. Yeah, and then we have K9 Mark II. But you have now you have indeed you have 5 Mark K9 Mark models, 5 in total. Yes, that's right. Because there was already one blow up by the 10th Doctor.
Yeah, in School Reunion.
Yeah, that's right.
So Sarah was very fond of that one.
Yeah, that's right. And also, yeah, we see him back in new appearance making him. Kina is back. Ah, my dog, says David Tennant.
Yeah.
Still fond of that dog. My dog. During the era of Fourth Doctor, we have one enemy that is the Black Guardian, by the way, and
Yeah.
we see him in the Key of Time, and also also in I think in the East Space. He is
No, he's not in
oh,
space.
no, not in East Space.
The,
That's fine.
the Fifth Doctor, we
Yeah,
Fifth Doctor encounters the Black Guardian again in this.
yeah.
There's a Black Guardian trilogy.
Yeah, that's right. Because after all the adventures with Romana, he meets Edric and also and Tegan. But I think that our companion is more for the Fifth Doctor. I think to discuss.
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah, we'll do them next week, shall we?
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. So overall, the companions of the Fourth Doctor.
Who's your favorite?
Tom Baker.
Who would you say is your favorite of the bunch?
The companion.
Mm-hmm.
I think Romana was a good combination.
Romana, I go with Romana.
Yeah, but I think Leela also next, because of the nice stories like Tenants of Wan Chiang and Horror of Fang Rock. The stories are very good, and then the Simone Fries. I like Leela also.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, also.
They are very good stories.
And,
So they're very good stories.
Yes, very good stories. And by the way, Tom Baker is also a doctor who played the Doctor the longest of them all. 8 years, 8 seasons, or
Season 12 to 18.
Yeah.
I say.
Yeah.
7 seasons.
Yeah, 7 seasons. So they had a long tenure, a long time that he traveled with the companions, and one time he was for a short time Lord President, and he was very different, acted very different.
Mm-hmm.
But there was all reason for all the things he did. You can see in the relation to the companions, he is a little bit eccentric, but at the same time he challenges his companions to things to greater to come to greater heights. There's one characteristic of the Doctor that he's looking for a way to really improve his companions.
Yeah.
And that is one thing, and he can also see that he plays the Doctor, plays really the Doctor, and the companions can participate quick with him, because he is so open-minded in some things, but also at the same time a little bit reserved. But it is for a reason, because he wants to challenge his companions to do also things on their own. And there's a very good characteristics of the Doctor. So you can see also the companion do his you can see that companions in his stories also in some adventures, they can really do it on their own, because the Doctor made them make them so.
It kind of challenges them to be more
independent. Independent. That's the word. Independent. It's really a Doctor who makes his companion independent. Indeed. So that's one of the things I noticed in all the era of this Fourth Doctor, that he is really looking for ways to make his companions independent, and to solve the things on their own.
Yeah.
And that can you really see, and you can really see that on screen.
Yeah, I remember Gareth Roberts once wrote a piece on that period where and he did say about he feels that with Romana it was a case of he was a little bit like the fact that he didn't do too well in his grades in the academy. It's like he kind of wanted to prove to the Time Lords that his way was that he kind of knew better than them, and that's probably why he felt the need to draw Romana to it his way, and basically in the end gets her to abandon Gallifrey. So it's almost kind of it's a bit of one-upmanship to them that he kind of convinces Romana to follow his lifestyle rather than theirs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which is, I think, is quite cool.
Have you more about the companions of this Doctor?
I think we've covered them already, haven't we?
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, really good. I think we discussed everything about it. Sarah Jane had the most of the time because we last time we did also Sarah Jane with Third Doctor, so we discussed her in what else sense.
Oh yeah, we
That's kind of more than logic.
Indeed, yes.
Yeah. So we already mentioned Edric, Nissa, and Tegan, but that's more for the next Doctor, and because there's more in balance than we discuss because the Fifth Doctor has less companions than this one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I think we will leave it for this. Yeah.
Yeah. I think we've done it well.
Good. 1 hour and a half, perfect.
Indeed.
Yeah. So I want to thank you, Sadeko, for this time.
My pleasure.
Yeah,
My
it's
pleasure.
very good. And everyone who listens, enjoy Doctor Who. And then again, if you want to watch some horror, go to Horror of Fang Rock or Doctor Who. And have a nice week, everyone. And next time we will see you, and we will discuss the companions of the Fifth Doctor, Peter Davison. For now, I want to wish you a very nice week, and bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.